Good morning, everyone, from Starkville, Mississippi. 46 degrees under sunny skies. Got a 5 next to that Alabama. Still looks foreign. Here to take on the Bulldogs. And yeah, the only prescription is more cowbell. You're watching the SEC on ESPN, presented by Xfinity. The two burning questions in college football. Can Alabama still get to the playoff? And will Tua Tagovailoa play today? Down on the field, the latest from Molly McGrath.
Yeah, Steve, Tua Tagavailoa was one of the last players out on the field for pregame warmups. He had both ankles heavily taped. He went through some mobility drills. He threw well on the run. And even though there's no official word on whether or not he'll start, coaches within the program told me that they would be shocked if Tua doesn't play today. And he was taking all of the snaps with the first team, so all signs point to Tua being the starter, Steve.
Here's my partner, Brian Greasy. Do you want to go up against the all-time greatest football coach in history, in Nick Saban, if he in fact starts Tagovailoa today?
It looks like he's going to start, but that doesn't mean that he's going to play the whole game. I know Nick Saban will keep a close eye on Tua in this ball game. I didn't see him do anything laterally in pregame warmup. I'll tell you that. If there's a blitz up the middle, that's what Nick Saban wants to see. Can he protect himself?
And they can rush the passer. The scene is set. The home team has not been here in just about a month. 28 days in between home games for Mississippi State. They last played here against LSU on the 19th. And we'll find out immediately whether Tagovailoa starts at quarterback today for Alabama or not, as Mississippi State won the toss and they will defer. Jace Christman puts it in the air, and a flag immediately. But the headline here is Tua Tagovailoa to start at quarterback for Alabama.
You see, he's not wearing the traditional cleats. He's wearing some modified cleats. They look like they have nubs on the bottom. That's typically what you wear when you're playing on AstroTurf when it's wet. But he feels more comfortable with that ankle in those shoes.
Unbelievable starting field position after the flag. It's Henry Ruggs, the speedster, on the flip. And he's just shy of midfield. Fourth member of our crew, here's Todd McShay.
Fourth member, huh? Tua, I was surprised, because I watched him in pregame, and it's not like anything we've seen before. I've seen him warm up 6 times pregame. He comes out and has a routine. It was a very different routine today. I thought he was going to be the backup, but apparently he feels good and he's ready to go.
Second down and 11 after a couple of markers. Here's Najee Harris for 1. Jaden Crumity and Chauncey Rivers make the stop.
And the other thing that Nick Saban said to us is that there were 2 options. It was to start Tua and have Mac Jones capable of coming in, or go the opposite direction with Mac Jones and then break the glass in case of emergency. I think we're going to see Tua as long as this game is tight, but I really think Nick Saban wants to bring in Mac Jones if they can get a significant lead.
Third down and 10. Push back to their own 45. Tennyson in motion, the tight end. Good protection. And the throw is a beauty of a ball. Jerry Jeudy. And Tagovailoa just laid it in there perfectly for a gain of 38. Wow.
You know absolutely where Jerry Jeudy is going to be. He's going to be in the slot. He got a matchup here on a linebacker. That's Errol Thompson at 250 pounds. And Tua Tagovailoa identified it right off the bat.
Bama goes quickly back to Harris. Crashes down to about the 10-yard line. Tyler Williams, the tackle. It's a gain of 7 on the play.
Look at Jerry Jeudy. He gets free access in the slot, and you can't defend a guy of his caliber with a linebacker.
Harris again, picking his way down to the goal line and in for the touchdown. The signal on the field is touchdown, Alabama. And that didn't take long. And Tagovailoa looks just fine.
That's exactly what they wanted to see from Tua. Stay in the pocket, protect him in the pocket, allow him to throw the ball down the field. They get Jerry Jeudy, their best player, matched up on a linebacker. Great scheme in the first 15 from Steve Sarkisian. And what a difference this is to come out and execute flawlessly on your first drive offensively with questions about your quarterback in a hostile environment to go right down the field and score.
Joseph Bolinas, extra points. Missed one last week, nails that one. Should point out that's out of the hold of Mac Jones. Tua will hold when he's 100%, but Mac Jones the holder there. 7-0 Bama. So Mississippi State will get the football for the first time. And the fair catch signaled for at the 6. They'll bring it out to the 25, down to Todd.
Well, I think one thing you have to look for Mississippi State is they've got to get great production and versatility out of their running back in Kylie Hill. You saw last week against LSU, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was unbelievable. Number 22, I mean, he showed power, he showed the ability to run, but he also showed the ability to block and catch the ball out of the backfield. And that's one thing they're looking for from Hill. He's capable, but he hasn't done a whole lot of it.
You see the numbers a couple of weeks ago when they housed Arkansas 54-24. Mississippi State comes off their bye week. Extra preparation for Alabama. Intercepted. Picked off by Shane Lee. And that's how Tommy Stevens comes out throwing. He is picked off immediately by the true freshman, Shane Lee. And all going right early for Alabama.
Tommy Stevens never saw Shane Lee. He's a linebacker. He's right here. He's going to come up and kind of get lost. And Tommy Stevens loses him behind that offensive line. Never sees him. Throws that ball right in between the 3 and the 5. And for Shane Lee, there's been a lot of conversation this year about this Alabama defense. They're not as good as they have been. And everybody, a lot of people are putting it on the young linebackers. No Dylan Moses, no Josh McMillan. And as a true freshman, Shane Lee comes up with a big play for the defense on the first snap.
Mack Wilson left early, leaving Shane Lee and Christian Harris in the middle, the two youngsters. Off the sudden change, Tagovailoa comes out throwing, and wide open, it's Harris out of the backfield. Touchdown, Alabama.
That's the same play they scored against LSU a week ago. Here is Harris, and there's the safety. He's going to get picked on the outside, goes inside. Nobody goes with Harris to the outside. He caught a back shoulder throw against LSU for the touchdown last week. This time he's wide open.
Bullovas boots it through. Should we get Mac Jones up yet? I mean, this plays out perfectly for Alabama. This is the exact start they wanted. If, in fact, they want to get Tua out early, 14 points in 14 seconds for Alabama.
I certainly would start to get him warmed up. There's no question. But for Alabama, what a difference a week makes the way they start in the first half.
14-0 Bama. Isaiah Zubra, again, a fair catch. Out to the 25, but bring it. Here's Matt. Very nice, Matt Barry. To be with us all afternoon, keeping you updated on everything going on around the college football world. Imagine this score is resonating early. Kylan Hill, the leading rusher in the SEC, and Mississippi State will look to settle things down with Tommy Stevens. Of course, the transfer, Penn State, rock solid in there, when healthy, and we are told this is the healthiest he's been all season long.
Yeah, it really has. He's fought the injury bug, and before I could get out his keys to the game or protect the football, he already has an interception, but his game needs to start with running the football. A physical runner at 235 pounds. He's the 1-2 punch with Kylan Hill. They've got to get that run game going early.
That's Hill. They motion back into the backfield. Now split them out, and Stevens will take off. Has first down yardage and then some. Tommy Stevens can do this for you. And he'll be marked just shy of the Alabama 40. It's a 27-yard run on a quarterback draw.
And when you motion Hill out, that takes the linebacker out. Then there will be no linebacker left on the inside. That's a really well-designed play from Joe Moorhead, and reminds you of Nick Fitzgerald, right? Big, physical quarterback that can run.
Bit of a calming influence now for the home team. See how they respond. Give it to Kylan Hill. That's always a strong play. Up the middle for 3. Shane Lee and Anthony Jennings for Bama make the stop.
Be a lot of fun to watch these Alabama defensive backs try to tackle this big fella. Xavier McKinney, Shaim Carter, Jared Maiden. Those guys are going to have to make a couple of business decisions in this game.
Don't hear any cowbells when Mississippi State's on offense. Second down and 7.
Just discipline.
Yes, discipline from the home crowd as the stadium fills up with the early 11 a.m. local kickoff time. Try to run against the blitz, and Hill for a couple. Christian Harris made the stop. St. Anthony Jennings around the outside.
Yeah, these fans, they're always ready for the Alabama team when they come to town, but they haven't had a game here in 3 weeks, so they certainly are ready for this one.
It's about a 50-mile drive, we were told. In fact, with the president attending LSU Alabama a week ago, we were told that many fans actually flew into Golden Triangle, nearby airport here, and made the drive from here to Tuscaloosa. That's how close it is. 3rd down and 6.
3rd down's here where you got to try to isolate Kylan Hill in the passing game.
Bama, a little hesitation on the pressure, and it works. Raekwon Davis, and a flag comes in. And Davis is slow to get up.
Personal foul, face mask.
If the sack stands, it's a loss of 7.
Yeah, really bails out Mississippi State here. Nowhere to go with this football, and Tommy Stevens just trying to extend this play. Raekwon Davis gets in there and gets a big fistful of face masks. A good call. And a 1st down at the 22-yard line now for the Bulldogs.
Penalties have been an issue. This Alabama defense has allowed 24 first downs by the opponent due to their own defensive penalties. That's tied for the most in the SEC with Auburn. Fedarian Mathis checks in, replacing Raekwon Davis. We'll keep an eye on that. 1st down and 10. Here's Stevens. Throws. And a completion. It's Hill out of the backfield. Gain of 18. And that's something Mississippi State wants to do today. Get the ball in Hill's hands, but out of the backfield.
Yeah, that's the one they want, right? This is what Clyde Edwards-Helaire did, right? You get matched up here on a corner route. They scored last week on that. They identified this as a weakness in Alabama's defense, and Kylan Hill delivers.
2 tight ends in for Mississippi State. 1st and goal now from the 3.
That's going to be a big key all day long with Hill. They've got to get him involved against these freshman linebackers.
Motion into the backfield. Plenty of time to snap it. With all the window dressing, it's Kylan Hill who skips into the end zone. Touchdown, Mississippi State, not going anywhere for now. Freshman, the junior from Houston, puts it through. 21 points the first 6+ minutes. Late arriving crowds missing a lot.
Well, you mentioned a lot of window dressing, but at the end of the day, it's still power football. Darian Parker, the left guard, the left tackle, both come off, and have a huge hole for Kylan Hill, making a 7-point game.
From the 30, here's Harris, able to turn the corner. And he's crashed out at about the 44-yard line. Again to Harris. And that'll go for a loss on the play. C.J. Morgan lost to 1. Here's Matt Barry. That is one of the more fascinating games in this early window on this college football Saturday. Only a couple more weeks to go in the best regular season in all of sports. 2nd down and 10, 4 wide receivers in. And you know how talented that wide receiver room is for Alabama. With all that, give it to Harris. There'd be some confusion in the backfield there. Chauncey Rivers makes the stop, gain of 1.
I think bears mentioning Mississippi State playing without some of their best players on the defensive side. Willie Gay, the linebacker, not playing. Lee Autry, the defensive lineman, and then Marcus Murphy, the safety. All of them missing their 7th game. There's Willie Gay. Had an interception return for a touchdown the first snap against Kentucky. And there's Lee Autry, and they've been up to the task early, stopping the run without him.
Violation of team rules. That's what we've been told for all 4 of those players. 3rd down and 9. Some pressure. Tagovailoa hit as he throws, able to complete to Judy. Gain of 15 on the play in the 1st down. Or watch Tagovailoa get up every single time.
And that's what makes Tua so special, in my opinion. His ability to go through reads and just the instincts that he has. I'm standing in the end zone watching his eyes and goes through the progressions, and then to lead the receiver, Judy, and put that ball in a perfect spot.
Kobe Jones got the hit on Tagovailoa. On 1st down and 10 on the Mississippi State side of the field, it's Judy on the slant, and he's off to the races. And there's some power. A flag comes in late as he hits the pylon. If it stands, it's a 40-yard score.
I think they're going to get Jerry Jeudy with a face mask there at the end. You can stiff arm in the face mask, but you just can't keep your hand up there on the face mask, and he had it on there for at least 3 or 4 strides.
Personal foul, face mask, offense number 4. 15-yard penalty for the spot of foul. It'll be 1st down.
And this is the RPO that they've become so good at through these last couple of years with Jerry Jeudy and Tua Tagavailoa. And the linebacker can't be right. Right, here's the 2 linebackers, Thompson and Lewis. And when you put the ball in the belly, right, they got to come up, right? Look at the conflict is here. So the ball's in the belly. Now Tua pulls it out right behind the ear. And Jeudy has been so good at catch and run, the yards after catch.
So penalties have taken over on this drive for both teams. Tagovailoa to throw for it. Devontae Smith, ball on the ground, and it's picked up by Henry Ruggs. In perfect position, bails out Bama.
Looked like it was Jaquarius Landrews. Sorry, that's Williams, 13, that forces that fumble, and Ruggs in good position.
Great tackle by Williams.
That's what you got to do, right, Todd, against these skill receivers. Tackling in space is probably the most important thing.
And Mississippi State is 127th in the nation in terms of giving up yards after the catch. So it's a struggle for them, but so far they're showing some life.
Well, the yards after catch, Steve, have been in the middle of the field, and it's been on the linebackers in particular.
From the 5, Harris trying to run it in there, and second effort, he will get there. Touchdown, Alabama. So in the end, they get the score anyway. There's a whole lot of extra work for the Crimson Tide.
And it doesn't look like Mississippi State has much of a chance when they get down inside the 5. It's been Najee Harris predominantly, and you know, they get him going and this run game going. It just has more sting on the RPO game, and they haven't run it as well as they have traditionally this season, but they look like they're getting better and better.
Again, out of the hold of Mac Jones. Joseph Bulovas boots it through. Najee Harris has all 3 Alabama touchdowns. 2 rushing, 1 receiving. talked about last week's game against LSU, and they were doomsday. They were in big trouble right from the opening start. 3 critical mistakes. You know, Grease, you mentioned, difference a week makes, right? Obviously, they're not playing LSU talent this week, but those were self-inflicted wounds by Alabama a week ago. Tua's fumble. Yep. They get the interception with 12 men on the field. Then the snap goes through the hands of Piron, the young punter. Right. I've never seen a worse first half of a first quarter by Alabama at home in a big spot.
Yeah, and then the interception right before half by Tua, and they come out in the second half. They outscored LSU 28-13 in the second half.
Gibson, his first touch, will go for a loss. Shaheem Carter, the stop, loss of 1 on the play.
All that being said, Alabama did not lose that game last week. LSU won it. LSU was the better team, and yes, Alabama came out, but it's the first time I've heard Nick Saban, after a game like that, talk about walking through the locker room before the game and seeing the look in his players' eyes and being concerned about the emotions. He tried to take as much of the implications of that game off their plate a week ago, and it didn't work. And they came out, they were anxious, and they were nervous in the first half of that game, there's no question.
2nd and 20. Mississippi State. Here's Tommy Stevens. Take a deep shot down the middle of the field and hung up too long for Osiris Mitchell. Trevon Diggs running with him step for step.
Oh my gosh. Trevon Diggs almost makes an unbelievable interception. He tries to go up one hand and almost sticks that ball. If he doesn't hit the ground, I think he makes that interception. Tommy Stevens takes a big shot from Christian Harris.
Of course, Trayvon's older brother is Stefan, of Minnesota Vikings fame. I'm sure he'd say, I would have made that catch. Difference in a wide receiver and a cornerback. 3rd down and 20. From the 15. Conservative, running it. Nick Gibson trying to hurdle some people. Gets some of the yardage back. Went over Patrick Surtain. It's a gain of 9 on the play. 4th and plenty.
Seeing that more and more. You talk about this Alabama defense, right? Giving up 46 points last week. They've got their pride on the line. Everybody's talking about this defense not being as good as Alabama has been traditionally. Yes, they've had the graduation, 5 guys drafted off the defense a year ago, and then the injuries. But they still have a lot of pride. And Trevon Diggs giving up that touchdown a week ago in the LSU game. He wanted to make that interception.
See if Jalen Waddle gets a shot. Standing at the near side 40. Trying to cover his eyes from the sun. Takes a big-time Mississippi State bounce for Tucker Day, and it ends up being a 45-yard punt. So we hit the final minute, quarter number 1. We wondered if he played. Well, he's playing well. More Tua when we come back. Look at Tua, 8 of 8 already. Here's Brian Robinson on the ground. His first carry. And pushing it ahead. Should have enough for the first down. We'll see where they spot it. Maybe a little short. Here's Molly in the final seconds of the quarter.
Well, Steve, Alabama may be giving Najee Harris a little bit of rest. He's been their workhorse today, and he's been a little banged up. Medical training staff was cleaning off a lot of blood off of his arm, and they wrapped that arm for him.
He's had a big quarter, Najee Harris has. He's got all 3 touchdowns for Alabama. An eventful first quarter. Tua looks just fine so far. Let's check out today's Aflac trivia question. Which left-handed quarterback has thrown the most touchdown passes in NFL history? Oh, it's a good one, right? So in pregame warm-ups, I threw out, Steve Young,
yeah.
Ken Stabler.
The Snake, yeah.
Yeah. Jim Zorn lefty?
Yes,
left-handed.
So, yeah.
And I was told I was incorrect on all those. Here's Brian Robinson, the ball carrier, gain of 6. You want to give Greasy a chance to guess?
I'm going Stabler.
You would have gone Stabler?
I would have gone Steve Young, yeah, but I think you got to go further back probably. Boomer, yeah, Boomer.
Not that far back. Boomer Esiason.
That was close, though. Steve Young was second.
What's with Levy and his obsession with left-handed quarterbacks?
Ken Stabler, Mark Brunell, and Michael Vick to fill out the top 5. You know, they say left-handed people are more intelligent than right-handed. Have you heard that?
No, it was more creative. Oh. But, you know, go with whatever you want.
Intelligent, creative. Here's the left-hander, Tua Tagovailoa. Down the sideline, touchdown. Well, that was creative. Jalen Waddle, 35-yard score, and Bama made that look really easy.
I don't even think that he knew the route that he was running, because Waddle was running an out route, and Tua just throws it up. He sees one-on-one and steps up and just gives him an opportunity. Waddle was running to the outside, was looking over his left shoulder, picks the ball up in the air. Watch here, he's running a corner route. He's looking over his left shoulder, and then, oh, there's the ball. I'm going to go up. I don't think that was a design out and up. Maybe it was.
Looked like 3 adjustments by Waddle on that ball. And the extra point is good, and the extra point, that's never a guaranteed thing with Alabama. Tua 9 of 9, you see the 2 scores.
You know, I think you need Tua Tagovailoa to be healthy, I think, to beat Auburn in a couple of weeks.
No question, but if he's healthy, I think a lot of people feel as if they need some style points today. They need to blow people out the rest of the way.
I don't necessarily agree with that. If you would have played Mac Jones in this game and won, maybe the committee looks at it and says, well, they played LSU with an injured quarterback, and he couldn't even play the next 2 weeks.
And he was so hurt against LSU.
I mean, that's the reality of what the committee might be saying.
How's your eye test? Fair catch for Isaiah Zuber. Here's Kylan Hill, the ball carrier. As the Bulldogs try to stay in this game, gain of 2 on the play. We'll check out. 2nd down and 7. Out to Hill. Good second effort. Pick up a few anyway. See about a 3rd and 5 upcoming.
Well, Kylan Hill needs to touch the ball 25 to 30 times in this ball game, and it's going to be a physical game. There's no question for him, but he's their most talented player, and he leads the SEC in attempts and yards, so he's taken his fair share of hits this season. Now you see Gibson in the game to take a little bit of the load off.
3rd down and 5 from their own 30. Here's Stevens, steps and fires underneath to Stephen Guidry. He's shy of the 1st down. Xavier McKinney made sure of that. 4th down.
And Alabama just decided to play zone coverage there. Joe Moorhead was anticipating man-to-man. He calls a crossing route. And the problem that happens there, you have a crossing route, the crosser runs right into the zone defender. They come up, make the tackle, and force a punt. And they told us they were going to kick the ball high and try to not allow Jalen Waddle to return it. They were willing to sacrifice distance. See if they do that here.
There's Tucker Day back to punt. Got a good bounce the 2nd time around. Went for a 45-yard punt. In the air, on an angle. See how he stays in bounds. It does not.
That's a great punt. That's a great punt.
But that's what they're trying to do.
Well, you have 2 choices. You either kick it high and not allow him the time to go to return it, or you directional punt it. That time, a great job punting it out of bounds.
Goes for a 38-yard punt. More Tagovailoa when we come back. Haven't heard the cowbells in a while. Getting loud. All sorts of time for Tagovailoa. And it's Devontae Smith. Has just enough for the 1st down. Gain of 13 on the play.
I'm surprised that Mississippi State's not bringing a little bit more pressure on Tua Tagovailoa. I get it. These guys are quick on the outside. You're going to play man-to-man anyway. You might as well bring some pressure. But if you let Tua Tagovailoa sit back there with nobody in his lap and throw the ball, you're asking for trouble. Bit
of a high snap. Tagovailoa able to bring it down. And Harris, maybe a loss, maybe back to the line of scrimmage. Crumedy was in there for Mississippi State, along with Brian Cole.
Yeah, really nice play by Jaden Crumedy, the redshirt freshman. His line mate on the interior, Fabian Levette, is also a redshirt freshman, playing a lot of young players. This Mississippi State defense, they were the #1 defense in the country a year ago. But no more Montez Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons, Jonathan Abram on the back end. They've got a lot of young players playing.
2nd down and 10. 9 to go in the half. Tagovailoa down the sideline. It's Devontae Smith for the catch. Gain of 34 on the play.
Talking about young players, true freshman Martin Emerson, number 1, the corner. He gets isolated, and Devontae Smith, with that speed, just gets beyond him. That's tough duty as a true freshman, right? This is a Mississippi State defense that's playing without Maurice Smitherman, who got hurt, one of their most improved players in the spring, and they've had to play 2 true freshmen on the back end, Emerson and Jerrion Jones.
So Brian Cole refers to them, Thing 1 and Thing 2. Those are their uniform numbers. On 1st and 10. Tagovailoa just too far out in front of Devontae Smith. 2nd incompletion for Tagovailoa.
You know, Bob Shoop, defensive coordinator from Mississippi State, he likes to bring pressure. And in this area of the field, I would anticipate him starting to dial it up a little bit. There's Coach Shoop.
He said last year things were effortless on defense. They could call anything they wanted on defense. Check into, check out of it, no problem because of the skill they had. And some of the players who played so well for them last year that came back aren't as good because the stars are gone. More's falling on their shoulders, like Errol Thompson in the middle. Tagovailoa to Judy underneath, and he'll be pushed back. Aquarius Landrews, the stop, forward progress, gain of 3.
Nice job coming up, C.J. Morgan and Landers, as you said. That's what you have to do. Force them to throw the ball short, come up to make the tackle, and bring up a 3rd and long situation where you can bring some pressure on 3rd and 8.
Third down and 8 for Alabama. Tagovailoa has all sorts of time to survey the field and complete to Jerry Jeudy. And we are over 300 yards of offense halfway through the 2nd quarter. Amazing.
You can say all you want about Jerry Jeudy and his speed, but watch him right here. He's right here, and he sees this defender. What does he do? He sits down in the pocket right there in zone coverage, friendly to the quarterback. You talk about how fast he is in his routes, but his knowledge of the game is second to none.
Good fake. Harris winds up with the ball, and they'll spot him about the 8-yard line. It's a gain of 4 on the play.
Judy's not as big as some of these receivers. He's not as fast as Ruggs, certainly. He's not as twitchy as Waddle. But you're right, he is, I think, I said it earlier, he's the best route runner in college football. And he has such a great sense, whether it's man-to-man, how to shake a guy, or zone, where to sit in that soft spot, and Tua knows he can rely on it.
That's the stuff that'll make him the #1 draft pick, Todd. To me, to be friendly to a quarterback like that is immeasurable.
Here is Jeudy. Turning the corner. And he'll be bumped out. Short of the 1st down. It's a gain of 2. And it will bring up 3rd down.
Used to watch Mark Ingram block, right, and Josh Jacobs block, and now you got Najee Harris out there. It's smart, you know, put your hands
in
up.
the air.
Yep.
Right. 3rd down and 2. Just outside the 5. It's Harris able to stand up in the end zone. Touchdown. Najee Harris's 4th touchdown of the game.
That's just way too passive for Mississippi State defensively. You got guys that are in the end zone. You got 3 linebackers that aren't coming up and taking on blocks. Lewis gets blocked. Thompson gets blocked. And he just walks into the end zone. That's way too easy.
5 possessions by Alabama, and they've been perfect. And on this afternoon, even the extra point goes through.
There you go, Mac Jones warming up, right?
I thought it was going to be after the first drive.
35-7. Yeah, I don't think he's going to wait for halftime. If they get a 2-minute situation here at the end of the half, it'll be Mac Jones, and I can't disagree with him.
Do you want to look ahead to next week in Western Carolina? What do you do there? Who do you start a quarterback there?
Too soon? Oh, well, I don't think there's any reason, why you need to play Tua Tagovailoa in that game.
So you wouldn't.
Yeah.
And honestly, you would not have played him here today?
I would not have. I would not have started him.
And get him 100%.
I would have let Mac Jones go out and play and see how it went and go from there. You can always bring Tua off the bench if you need to.
Alabama has more penalty yards so far in this game than Mississippi State has yards on offense. Back on the ground to Kylan Hill. Out to the 35. Hill said this was a spotlight game. He goes, the whole country is watching when you're involved in a game against Alabama. You want to play your best. He understands all the scouts that would be in attendance. You want to play your best against the best. And Mississippi State not measuring up so far here today, 35-7, although Hill's doing everything he can do. A couple of years ago in a night game here, Mississippi State pushed Alabama to the brink. And when they were hoping for some more Davis-Wade magic here this afternoon. Not so far. Here's Hill again trying to turn the corner. And he will launch himself into Shane Lee and go out of bounds after the gain of 3. That's 3 tough yards right there.
Well, he's going to compete. Kylan Hill, he's not going to back down from anybody. He was challenged by Joe Moorhead a couple of weeks ago. Challenged off the field. His talent on the field, but Joe wanted to see him prepare more. He said, listen, everybody's watching you and how you prepare for games. You could go out there and play well without the attention to detail, but you can't be great. And he challenged him in the last couple of weeks against A&M and Arkansas. He had 150 yards and 234 yards on the ground, and he's responded off the field as well.
So don't be a ball carrier expert. Do some other things away from the football. And he's tried to do that and said he answered the challenge. See if Zuber got a foot in. Say no, he did not. Out of bounds. Good effort there by Isaiah Zuber.
It's the little things, too. The snap is just a little bit off to the left. It turns Tommy Stevens around, and then he's a little bit late on the throw.
Yep, and that because he's late on the throw, the receiver is further towards the sideline, and that's exactly what happens is you don't convert. This is a Mississippi State team that's been looking for a passing game for a long time. Since Dak Prescott, they haven't had a receiver with more than 27 catches in a season in the last 3 years. So this is nothing new.
There's Tucker Daly, former amateur hockey player, junior Nashville Predators. And Jalen Waddle will get a shot to return one. Staying on his feet, running around. It's a 39-yard punt in the end. We'll give him 8 on the return. It appears as Tua's done for the day. So we'll say hi to Mac Jones at quarterback for Alabama when we come back. All right, Matt, we might have jumped the gun a little bit on putting Tua's day to bed. Tua Tagovailoa is still in there. That's Brian Robinson on the run for 6 yards up the middle.
I think Tua might have been lobbying, and Nick Saban comes into the huddle here, and there's Tua. He goes over to Nick and says, hey, let me have one more. Just one more, Coach. What do you think? You don't see Nick Saban smile very often, but I think he cracks a smile here right there.
We had Molly's report earlier. He went down the sideline, all his offensive teammates shaking everybody's hands as if he was done for the day. And not the case, and that goes incomplete. Pressure there coming from Brian Cole. Molly?
Well, Steve, I think Mac Jones thought that he was going, and he was warming up. He was jumping around really jittery like he was going to be the starter, and then he went into the huddle. Tua started talking to the team, and Jones started to go to the periphery of the huddle and then came back to the sideline, but he's still on edge, ready to go in.
I'm on edge, too, right now.
Are you really?
It seems like it.
At 35-7. That's about the drama, right? When will Tua check out for the afternoon? Bama's had 5 possessions, 5 touchdowns. And looking for more in the final 3 minutes of this first half. Comes out throwing. On the run. Pressure from behind. And that's where Nick Saban is thinking, where's Mac Jones?
He's down. And Tua's down. His helmet came off. This is exactly what you did not want to see happen. And sometimes as a coach, you just got to listen to your gut. And I think Nick wanted to take him out. And Tua talked him back into it. And hopefully this isn't serious. We've seen this from a couple of times this season where he's gotten hurt because he's extending a play and then he gets tackled from behind. And the problem with that is you don't see it coming, and then they roll up on your lower legs, and that's how he got hurt initially this season in the Tennessee game.
Standing a few yards away from it. Looks like it might be his nose or his head. Something.
Todd, we're showing it again here, the replay. Those two players sort of collapse upon him.
Yeah, and his head, his face mask hits the ground almost first.
It's not his lower body.
Well, that's good news. And if it's just something.
Yeah, they're putting on gloves. He's bleeding.
Marquise Spencer and Leo Lewis. Just about the full weight of both of them on Tagovailoa there. And the helmet comes off. You see instantly in pain. And the stadium, even on the road, has gone silent.
Well, he's up, and hopefully that's just a bloody nose.
It looks like a bloody nose
situation,
exactly.
You know. But
he's in a lot of pain. He was grabbing onto the trainer.
Well, this is the sight Nick Saban obviously did not want to see, and up 35-7. You know, the natural reaction is, why is he still out there?
And you love Tagovailoa for wanting to play, for pleading his case.
Nick's walking
if
over
in
now.
fact that was the conversation, one more series, let me go till halftime. And Saban's running onto the field now. There's Nick. And the cart is being rolled onto the field as well as we speak.
Well, yeah, I think the point here is if it were just his nose, then he'd be walking off the field straight to the locker room. The fact that they're bringing this card out, and
he's putting no pressure on his right leg.
Oh my goodness.
Mom and dad in attendance, as they are at all the games. And this is the video that is now being watched coast to coast. And the decision to start him in the game and keep him in the game at 35-7 with some 4 minutes left in the first half. That will be discussed, dissected, and argued, certainly for this coming week, and maybe more beyond that. It's a fourth down. And Alabama's punting for the first time. Dedrick Thomas on the return after a 41-yard punt. Molly.
Yeah, Steve, you saw Tua Tagovailoa was carted back to the locker room. He was screaming in pain. His medical training staff had to pick him up and carry him off the cart. He is going for x-rays right now, and the first report is that it is his right hip, not his right ankle, that's injured.
Thank you, Molly.
Yeah, you can see his right knee went down with both of those defenders on top of him, and he grabs his hip right when he rolls over there, before he rolls over, and then all the attention went to his nose. But really the real problem here is the hip, and that knee that goes down and it reacts into his hip, and he was in a lot of pain.
Quick screen out to Kylan Hill. That's what I got from the Molly report, screaming in pain.
Well, you just hope. We've seen this a couple of times in football, right? The Bo Jackson situation. And see how that right knee goes down and those guys are on top of him. And when that knee goes down, his body's going forward. That joint gets stressed. And see him grab it there, that's what I'm worried about. And hopefully it's that you see how much pain. He'd never put any weight on that right side.
Yeah, the bloody nose is so secondary.
And that's the same side he had the ankle injury on, but I don't think that's what that was.
Tommy Stevens throw as he was hit. able to complete a short pass to Nick Gibson out of the backfield, gain of 5 play. And of course, Molly will do her best the rest of the afternoon to get you the very latest on Tua Tagovailoa. See if we hear from Nick Saban before halftime. And of course, he won't know anything about the status, but you know, he will be questioned about A, starting Tua, and B, keeping him in a lopsided first half.
Well, when he ran all the way across the field, he wanted to know, is this just a bloody nose or is there something wrong with the ankle? And when they told him hip, I'm sure he wasn't anticipating that, and that was not good news.
There's 3rd and 13. Pressure on Stevens, steps up out of it, and will run for 2 yards. Raekwon Davis brought him down.
Yep.
We saw Alabama in the opener in Atlanta against Duke. They started 7 freshmen. That was tied for most in the country, along with UMass. You never see Alabama and UMass in the same sentence. Starting to wear out Tucker Davis, Tucker Day, I beg your pardon, the punter for Mississippi State. So we wind down the final 10 seconds of the half. Got a little pressure. Cajo nearly got there for Alabama. And on the return, there's a seam for Jalen Waddle. And he's up to midfield. So that is the half. And I can't imagine a worse half for Alabama in which they lead 35-7.
That's a good point.
Right? This score flashes around the country, and you think it's all good for the Crimson Tide, and it's not. Down to Molly.
Coach, what can you tell us about Tua Tagovailoa?
Well, he hurt his hip, so I don't know anything else more than that. They took him in to look at him, so we'll see what's happening. That was going to be his last series. We were going to do 2 minutes before the half with him just for practice, and, you know, of course, we got to block him better so he doesn't get sacked, but too bad.
It looked like Mac Jones was warming up to Tua lobby to stay in.
No, we were just, we were going to put Mac in, and then we said, we'll let Tua do 2 minutes before the half just for practice. And you know, I don't worry about players getting hurt, but certainly don't want to see anybody get hurt, especially him.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.
All right, Molly. So that's not the story. 35-7. Alabama leading Mississippi State at the half. The health of Tua Tagovailoa is plenty for Matt, Joey, and Jesse to chew on from this one. We'll do the same in the second half. Back in a still stunned Starkville, Mississippi, 35-7. Alabama leads Mississippi State, but that is not the story of the first half. The story revolves around Tua Tagovailoa. About 3 minutes left in that second quarter. He was taken down from behind, wound up with a bloody nose, and what we were told was a hip injury. And we knew we would see Mac Jones a quarterback for Alabama. We just did not know when or the circumstances surrounding that. And Mississippi State will get the football first, regardless. And a fair catch. We'll bring it out to the 25 as we welcome you back into the broadcast booth. Steve Levy along with Brian Greasy, and it's our understanding that Tua is still in the building. You know, we'd expect was carted off, maybe some x-rays, could go to a local hospital, but Tuscaloosa's only a 15-minute drive from here to get them right back home to all their own medical people.
Yeah, I think the first thing is you hope for the best for Tua Tagovailoa. That did not look good. The hip is not something that you want to mess around with. So, you know, but hindsight's going to be 20/20. You know, everybody's going to have an opinion whether he should or shouldn't have been out there. To me, the thing that was a little bit different was Mac Jones was warming up on the sideline, okay? And so did Mac Jones know he was going to go in? Did somebody tell him, hey, warm up, get ready to go in? And then Nick make a change in his decision to give Tua, as he mentioned, practice in a 2-minute drill? I don't think Tua Tagovailoa needs any more practice, right? Like, you're up 35-7. If it were me, you know, he wouldn't have been out there. But
well, you said you wouldn't even have started him in the game to begin with.
If it was a game-time decision and you're up 35-7, right, I'm not sure why he's out there.
Couldn't have been more perfect on Alabama's offense. They had 5 possessions. Their first 5 all went for touchdowns. Here's Tommy Stevens breaking one down the middle of the field and still running to the 30. And sort of taken down, tripped up inside the 25 of Alabama. It's a second big run for Stevens. That one goes for 46.
Well, you know what Joe Moorhead was saying in the locker room at halftime? Let's come out and let's win the second half, right? We're going to compete. We're trying to build a culture here in Starkville. And on this first drive, they've come out and run the ball on the ground.
Stevens will hand off to Kylan Hill. Came in as the leading rusher in the SEC, just 1 yard there. Right. So much on the line for Alabama with Tagovailoa still to be decided in these next few weeks. Again, Western Carolina at home next week, and they go to Auburn for the big one on November the 30th.
Well, we've talked a lot about Tua, but their both starting defensive tackles were injured in the first half as well. DJ Dale and Raekwon Davis are out of this football game.
You could not have a worse 35-7 lead in college football. Dedrick Thomas took it off the grass. Todd.
Guys, I went in to talk to Joe Moorhead at halftime. We usually talk right when he comes out, and I walked up the tunnel, and I physically just there. I looked up the tunnel, and the cart is up there, and there's a lot of Alabama security outside the door, and that door leads to where the X-ray facility is. So presumably Tua's still in there going through X-rays, and the cart is there to bring him where he has to go next.
And that would speak to the severity of the situation. And again, you were trying to talk to the Mississippi State head coach.
Exactly.
Having nothing to do with Alabama. Here's Stevens on the run. And he's tripped up by McKinney, who's had a nice game for Alabama on that defense gain of 2 on the play. And bring up 4th down.
Well, you see Joe Moorhead deciding he knows that both those defensive tackles are out. And so backups in, a lot of true freshmen up front for Alabama, and they're trying to attack them right between the tackles with their big physical quarterback at 235 pounds.
And that's where Hill's been at his best. Some 80% of his yardage on the ground this season has been between the tackles.
4th down.
And 2. Looks like a long 2. It is Hill. It is between the tackles. Try to reach for it, and I don't think he got there. Anthony Jennings and Christian Harris made sure of it. I think he's short.
Well, you're not going to fool Anthony Jennings. He's just too experienced, too patient. He knew exactly what he was getting there. He held the end of line of scrimmage, waited for the ball to be delivered, and then made the tackle for the stop on 4th down.
They don't need to look at it. They don't need to bring the sticks out. Not even close. And so despite the running of Stevens on that opening drive of the 3rd quarter, Bulldogs turn it over on downs. And we'll see Mac Jones.
Well, this is an important half of football for Alabama and the rest of this season. There's a lot of question marks with respect to Tua's health, and so where is Mac Jones going to take you? This half is an opportunity for him to gain the trust of the rest of this team.
1st down and 10 from their own 15. Jones will throw and complete to Jerry Jeudy. Jeudy will make a couple people miss. Again, Molly with Nick Saban prior to the half on the decision to let him stay in the game.
No, we were going to put Mac in, and then we said we'll let Tua do 2 minutes before the half just for practice. And you know, I don't worry about players getting hurt, but certainly don't want to see anybody get hurt, especially him.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Yeah, and the telling thing there is him saying we were going to put Mac in, and then we let him do the 2-minute for practice. And it seems like he had made a decision to go with Mac, and then for whatever reason he changed his mind. And that's the thing at 35-7. Why leave him in there?
Najee Harris still on his feet. He's out to the 47-yard line, gain of 20 on that play. Jones was warming up, and Tua was shaking hands with his offensive teammates on the sideline, which gave you every indication that he was done at that point for the afternoon. And we went to commercial break, and all of us were surprised that Jones was out and Tagovailoa was still in the game at quarterback for Alabama.
You know, and Nick's right. You know, you don't ever expect somebody to get hurt. You're not playing for somebody to get hurt. You don't make those decisions, but the risk associated with it is kind of what you're trying to mitigate at that point in the game.
Harris, nice spin move. Close to another first down. It's a gain of 8 on the play. 2nd down and 2. Harris, good second effort, still on his feet. Such a hard-nosed downhill runner. Gets 9 when there was nothing there.
When you think about Mississippi State now emotionally, right? The score is 35-7, and it's hard to get out there and compete and fight in the second half when you're getting a big physical downhill run game, and then you lose one of your leaders on defense and C.J. Morgan, and we'll see if they're able to muster up enough here to slow down Alabama.
Mac Jones throwing into an open area, and Henry Ruggs fills that area in a hurry. And it's a gain of 25, and Mac Jones has looked pretty good.
That's a good throw from Mac Jones on a corner route. You know, reading the defense. This is as good a situation as you could hope for as a backup quarterback, obviously, with the lead that they have in the second half, to come out and just operate the offense. There's no stress on him in this football game. Come out and execute.
And you're filling Mac Jones with confidence. And again, we don't want to speculate. No one knows how long they're going to need Mac Jones for. Nothing doing that time for Najee Harris. Harold Thompson made sure of that. Loss of 1 on the play. Thompson, one of those heart and soul guys from Mississippi State. Guy who patterns himself, he said, after Luke Kuechly and Bobby Wagner. 2 pretty good players in the league, speaking of which. And you know it's a big game for Thompson. He's an Alabama kid. On the ground, Harris. He'll lean forward. Spencer to stop, gain of 1 on the play. Grease, does the injury to Tagovailoa with a score at 35-7, you think Nick Saban is more likely to remove some other starters from this game? I'm just saying, Najee Harris taking on contact every single time he carries the football.
Yep, I don't think there's any question. He probably came out of halftime and said, look, this offensive line, Najee, you guys have 1 drive. But also, they might have his starting quarterback out here now, so you got to think about Mac Jones, how much you want to play him.
There's Ruggs. He takes a big shot. And Henry Ruggs looks shaken up now. Wow. Henry Ruggs had to be helped off the field. And we believe that is Tua Tagovailoa behind the Mississippi State sign there, being shielded on his way out, likely into the ambulance and out of the stadium. Tagovailoa goes down. A couple of key defensive linemen from Alabama. Henry Ruggs shaken up. And the field goal good. 22-yard field goal by Joseph Bulovas. And it's 38-7. The glare of the sun and the fair catch. Molly's work doing a day and a half today. Tons to follow. Byron Young, the stop after the gain of 3.
I didn't see the DJ Dale injury, but I did. You know, that Raekwon injury to his left ankle looked bad. I mean, that's one of your stalwarts on that defensive line for Alabama.
The rare senior back there.
And such a good story too. after struggling last year and not playing like he wanted to. And he said it was his family. It wasn't the coaching staff. It was his family that told him, go back to school.
Here's Tommy Stevens. This has been Mississippi State's best offense. Tommy Stevens run up the middle and an awkward slide after a gain of 12.
This was the hit on Raekwon Davis, number 99 there. Barmore, his line mate, just kind of, that happens from time to time, that you get friendly fire back there. And these guys are so big with so much power, and when they put a foot in the ground and then another big defensive lineman comes and hits the lower body, they suffer a lot of injuries that way.
Look at the big name injuries for Alabama today. And that's how the third quarter comes to an end. Questions to be answered. It's not about the outcome. Tommy Stevens has been in there the whole way. Got a brief glimpse of Garrett Schrader. Turned over on downs. And the Bulldogs will take over. Stevens just run ahead for a couple.
Just like we talked about with Tua Tagavailoa, the same could be said for Tommy Stevens. You see Raekwon Davis on crutches there, that left ankle and a boot. But if you're Joe Moorhead, why do you have Tommy Stevens still out here in this game? Why don't you get Garrett Schrader in the game? Stevens has dealt with injuries the entire season, and they got a big game coming up, the Egg Bowl, in 2 weeks.
Yep. They need to win their last two to get bowl eligible. Keep that streak alive. Bowl game every decade, every season this decade. One of just 5 SEC teams that can make that claim. It's Nick Gibson, the ball carrier. Set for an update. Here's Matt Barry. Gibson trying to give this crowd something to cheer about. Bring those cowbells. He's gone pretty silent. Gain of 19 on that last run.
Blocking up front by this offensive line. Alabama's defense, you got to give them credit. This is not LSU's offense, granted, but they have come to play today. They've had to deal with some injuries. But they've held Mississippi State under 275 yards and 79 yards passing. That's a good day at the office.
Just beyond midfield. Pressure is picked up. Stevens will throw on the run. In and out of the hands of Spivey, the tight end. You wondered coming in, when's the last time Alabama's lost consecutive games? We don't have to worry about that anymore, but they've lost consecutive games once in the last decade. That was in 2013. That was the kick 6 in the Iron Bowl, and they followed that with a Sugar Bowl loss to Oklahoma.
Yeah, but back-to-back regular season games. You got to go back to Nick Saban's first year, 2007. Right?
They lost 6 games. Can you imagine? Alabama lost 6 games with Nick Saban as their head coach. And that was the last time Mississippi State beat Alabama. That was 2007. That was Nick's first season. You mentioned the defense is an issue. The amount of points Alabama has given up, the amount of yards per game they've given up, all the most dating back to that first season here of the Nick Saban, the 6th loss season.
Yeah, they have not certainly been as good defensively because they have been the gold standard for a long time, but they've been good on defense. They just haven't been elite. The reason that they have been in this situation, they almost beat LSU a week ago, was because of Tua Tagovailoa and these receivers, because they haven't been running the ball as consistently as they have in the past either.
It's Nick Gibson.
So if they're not,
on the play.
if they're not able to play Auburn with Tua Tagovailoa, that game becomes real interesting. Because Mac Jones is not Tua Tagovailoa and doesn't have the rapport with this receiving core, nor does he have the attitude and the aggressive nature of Tua Tagovailoa. So it'll be hard for him to win in the Iron Bowl without Tua.
4th down play here for Mississippi State. Here's Stevens. Hit hard, rocketed right up the middle. Ben Davis comes up to make the shot. Sack for a loss of 8. Stevens will feel that one. As we hit the final minute, quite possibly the final commercial break. Here it starts. We thank you for tuning in. Here's the younger Tagovailoa. Talia, the 3rd-string quarterback for Alabama, is in the game now for the Crimson Tide. And the handoff on 1st down. Robinson, his 2nd carry. Alabama seeking its 90th consecutive win against an unranked opponent under Nick Saban. That's the longest streak in FBS history. And Nick's going to pick up his 197th overall regular season win, which will tie him for 4th all-time in the SEC, behind Bear Bryant, Steve Spurrier, and Vince Dooley. Nice list to be on. Rising up the charts like a bullet. Final 20 seconds now. Again, it's Keelan Robinson, the true freshman from Washington, D.C. Spins for the 1st down.
And Alabama's going to escape Starkville here with the win, but at what cost, right? As you said earlier. And we'll wait to hear the severity of the injury to Tua Tagovailoa, Raekwon Davis, DJ Dale, and others. Certainly a costly win for Nick Saban.
This is the worst possible 38-7 victory you can have in college football. The decision to start Tua and leave him in the game will be contested and discussed for weeks to come. Down to Molly.
Thank you, Steve. Coach, this win came at a cost. What do you know about the severity of the injury to Tua Tagovailoa?
I really don't know at this point. You know, we got to do some MRIs and some things, but it's a hip injury, and that's probably something that could be serious, so we'll just have to wait and see. But, you know, I like to talk about the rest of the guys on our team who played a really good game today and did a great job of trying to reestablish the Bama factor, and I was really proud of the way our guys competed in the 1st half of the game.
What about Raekwon Davis and DJ Dale? What are the status of their injuries?
Twisted ankle, you know, a little sublux knee. I don't know how serious those guys are, but we'll find out.
These are some crucial pieces to your team. You said that this team no longer controls their own destiny. How will you make a run possibly without them?
Well, you know, we're going to coach the guys that we got, the guys that want to play, the guys that are going to go out there and do what we have to do to be, you know, as good as we can be. We got a lot of good players, and we believe in them. We have faith in them. We trust in them, and we're going to do everything we can to get them ready to play and put them in the best position they can to be successful.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
It will be fascinating to see what Alabama looks like and which players take the field next week in Tuscaloosa against Western Carolina. A most difficult victory for the Crimson Tide here today. It has nothing to do with the scoreboard. 38-7. It's all Bama with the score.